So Stephen had submitted this feature request, and some of these can already be done by BlackBird. So I thought I would start today's workshop off kind of demonstrating how we can answer, how BlackBird can already do a couple of these feature requests here from Stephen. So, all right, so to get BlackBird up and running, all right, just need to go into our strategies window here on the chart. And then we just go down to the SI section and we'll find SI BlackBird there. And essentially you just need to enable it. There's a couple of extra options here. So I guess I'll just cover these real quick. So if you already have a BlackBird settings already saved to a file, then you can click on the button here, and that opens up BlackBird's order settings window, and you can just go to the open button and you can open up a file that you've already saved, or you could even actually go ahead and set things up from here if you want. You can set things up ahead of time, and then I would suggest saving it to a file, but otherwise you could just click OK, and then all those settings will be loaded in to BlackBird, and then make sure that you have your strategy enabled, set it to true, and then you can just click OK, and then BlackBird will just start right up with whatever settings you've input into it. So if you are using BlackBird as a auto trader, then you have the feature so that when BlackBird first loads, that it'll start auto trading immediately, but the default setting is false or off, so that means BlackBird will not start auto trading automatically, right? You actually have to go in and turn the auto trade button on, and also just as a little safety feature, the auto trader is turned off by default when BlackBird first loads on the chart. And if you want, you can show the chart trader. Basically, these are all the chart panel windows, all of BlackBird's little panel windows. Its menu system that shows up on the chart. That's on by default, but if you don't want to see any of those panel buttons, you can turn that off, in which case, though, it just won't be available ever. So if you do want to see the panels, you would actually have to open your strategy window back up and turn your strategy off, and then change these settings, right? So if you do need to change any of these settings, NinjaTrader requires you to actually disable your strategy first, then NinjaTrader will allow you to make changes and then turn your strategy back on and then click OK. So, all right, so I'm just going to load it up with the default settings here. All right, so we can see that the auto trading button is disabled. So so if you did load a file into BlackBird and you wanted to auto trade, then you would have to, right? You could click that, and then that actually would enable the auto trading, like so. All right, so let's get to the first question here. All right, let's see. So the first capability that Stephen would like to see is a kind of an on-the-fly button. Let's see, that would enable a buy or sell, right? Buy or sell at the close of the bar. So essentially, that's how BlackBird behaves by default. So whether a trade is taken at the close of the bar or not, that's all determined by this NinjaTrader setting. So the calculate on bar close, all right, calculate on bar close, right, on bar close, that's set to true. So that means NinjaTrader will calculate BlackBird when the bar closes, and only when the bar closes, right? So this is normally the default is true. So that right there takes care of the, the close of the current bar, part of the request here. All right, so the only other thing is to, have a buy or sell option there. All right, so let's see. So let's get BlackBird open, and I just need to make something up here. So the first thing you need to do is you need to make yourself a BloodHound signal. So I'll have to make something up here real quick. So since this is not a BloodHound workshop, I'm just going to build something real quick. All right, so it's just a simple buy or sell according to the bar direction. So that's all I need for this example. All right. Good enough. Okay, so so I'm just going to use a BloodHound signal here, and I'm going to load that file up that I just made. Okay, so there's my BloodHound signal. Good to go. And let's leave it like that. Let's see. Nope, don't need to set anything else up. Okay, so I'm just using, BloodHound, or maybe you could, find a simple little indicator that you might be able to, maybe use an indicator instead to kind of determine your trade signals. So there we go. And the next thing is, just determine, do you want to just do a market order when the bar closes? So let's just do that. We'll just do a market order. And I'll just set up a simple profit and stop loss just for this demo here. And let's see. I'm going to save this BlackBird file. Okay. All right, so I've just saved my BlackBird settings there. So really, that's it, Okay, so anyways, I'm setting this up just to actually get to the question. So obviously, you have to set BlackBird up, to trade the type of order, to trade the orders that you want it to trade, right? Really the key is, set yourself up with a, with a BlackBird, with a BloodHound, template with the BloodHound, signals in here. So I just built something real quick for this example. And now, so here's kind of the key. So, he wants to be able to do a buy or sell at the close of the bar. So let's just say I want to do a sell. All I need to do is just click the short enable button there, and BlackBird would trade at the bar close. But maybe we're going to get, maybe price is going to go up here. So let's do the enable long. So so if you want to do a buy, all you need to do is just enable the long side button there. And all right, come on, price, pop up there. And if you're wanting to do a sell at the bar close, then just enable the short side. Just use the short side button there. Yeah. All right, hold on a sec here. I'm going to switch things over. So using live market data, it's kind of doesn't ever seem to work out when you're doing training. All right, anyways, there we go. Good. So right, so there's an example. So we had right, so we had an up bar, and I just enabled the long only. So all right, before I switch my data feed, and then so then once you get your trade on, you just disable all the auto trade buttons, and there you go. BlackBird won't take any more trades. So that's an example for, if you're wanting to trade using a market order, when the bar closes, and I'll set BlackBird up to trade a limit order when the bar closes here, but let's just close this out, and let me change data feeds here. So we'll switch over to simulated data. Let's see, we'll just enable the strategy. Okay, I'm back in business. All right, so that was for, submitting a market order. So let's say instead of using a market order, we want to use a limit order instead. And we can see that the initial placement is set to the bar close. So we really don't have to do anything. So if you're using a limit order and you want to set a limit order at the bar close, well, that there was nothing really to do. Of course, if you wanted to use an offset, you could use an offset. So if you wanted it one tick above the bar close, to help, get that fill. Of course, that won't guarantee your fill, but that'll put your limit order, at least one tick closer to the market price, or if you wanted a little more of a pullback, then of course you could do one tick below the bar close. For a long trade, it'd be one tick less than the bar close. So let's just put it on the bar close, for example. All right, and let's see here. I'll just click OK. And again, so let's go short here, and I'll pull the trend down. All right, so once we get that bar closing down, like so, bingo. All right, there's our limit order sitting there at the bar close. And so now we just have to wait for price to come back and pick up that order. Right, so there we go. There's and let's say we get here. Let me close this out, and let me do an uptrend. So you notice I've got my short enabled. So if I get an up bar, no trade's gonna take place on an up bar, because up bars I get long signals, but I only have short signals enabled. I only have short trades enabled here. So here's an up bar. Come on, price. There we go. So, so we got a long signal on this up bar, but no trade was taking place because the long trades are disabled. Only the short trades are enabled. So that, all right, so that takes care of, question one. And let's see. And really that also at the same time takes care of question two. So basically so we wanted the option to have to initiate, a buy or sell only when the bar closes down or up. So kind of these question one and two are pretty similar there, with the same there. So with this BloodHound, with the BloodHound logic here, right? Basically, the signals are agreeing with, with the bar direction. So, yeah, let's see. We could do something a little more generic here. So I'm going to go back into the BloodHound file. So I'm just going to temporarily get into BloodHound so I can load this up here. Let's see. So I'm going to make a new logic template here. So let's see. So I'm just kind of thinking here. I just want to build a signal that gives me a long and a short all the time. Just so you know, I'm not going to get into this because this is not a BloodHound workshop. So let's see. All right, so I just modified my BloodHound signals here, and I'm going to go and reload that file. So you notice in BlackBird, right, you'll notice that, right, it still has the old version of this BloodHound loaded into memory. So keep in mind that, software does not update itself automatically. So, right, so I just went into BloodHound and modified this BloodHound file here. And you can see that it didn't update itself. If I go to the logic tab, it didn't update itself. So, so if you're modifying your BloodHound logic on the fly and then you want to use it in BlackBird, or even same thing goes with Raven and loading Raven, just realize that, because BloodHound allows you to update things on the fly, if you have this same BloodHound file loaded up in other places, like in BlackBird, those do not update automatically. Right? That's just not the way that .NET works. So what I have to do is go in here and reload the file. All right, so I'm reloading the exact same file that I already have loaded, but I'm reloading the newer version, right? So when I modified my BloodHound template, right, it saved the modifications back to the file. So now I have to reload that file to get that modification that I made. So if I reload it, right, there we go. Now we can see the two solvers there. And I now have the two logic templates here as well. So, all right, so there I got BlackBird updated now, and all right, and let's see here. And let's see if that'll do it. There we go, that'll do it. Okay, so to get the new logic templates to show up, I just had to kind of force an update to the entry signal field. So I just unchecked it, rechecked it, and then the logic templates showed up here. So if I wanted to, so basically all I simply did was just build a signal in with BloodHound that produces a long and short signal at the same time. So let's just say, so going back to question number 1, let's say if I, just wanted to buy or sell at the current bar close, but, maybe this buy or sell has nothing to do with the bar direction. Let's just say the trader just wanted to decide randomly that they wanted to buy or sell regardless of the bar direction. So that's what I built, is I built a signal that fires off a long or short regardless of the bar direction. So let's let me hit save there. So regardless of the bar direction, so let's make this bar close down. But let's say I wanted to take a long trade. So I want to take a long trade, and I don't care what direction the bar closes, but I just want to take a long trade here. And it's going to be, right, so I want to do a buy at the close of the current bar. And basically, that's what I have set up right now. So we just got to wait for the bar to close, and I have the longs enabled here. And actually, just to, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna refresh my chart so that my BloodHound signals update. So now you see how my BloodHound signals are updated, right? And let's open this up here. So there we go. So you can see now that basically I just built a, kind of a stupid BloodHound signal that just gives me both long and shorts all the time. And so now I can just use my enable buttons to execute, right, either a buy or a sell, whatever direction I determine as the trader, at the close of the bar. So let me close that bar down just to demonstrate there. And there we go. All right, so I got filled on a long trade here. All right, and then once I've got my trade executed, I can just turn off the auto trade button, and I'm good to go. All right, let's let me look at the other questions here. So, all right, so the first, BloodHound signal I built really addresses question 2. So if I wanted to, I can switch over to bar direction. So that addresses question 2 there. And let's see. All right, so I'm going to resave this BlackBird settings. So I saved this BlackBird settings. Now I will do a save as. All right, just got to think of a file name here. right, so we'll just call it bar direction trade. And so I just need to go in here and modify my BloodHound signals here, right? So I'm going to go back to the bar direction, right? The bar direction BloodHound signal there. And let's see, we'll save that. All right, we got that saved. And so let me enable long, and it's just a little tad bit short. All right, I'll enable long again. Looks like it's just going to take off long. Let's force market up, and there we go. So there's my long trade with the bar direction. All right, so that takes care of question 2 there. And all right, let's take a look at question 3 again. So let's see, a pullback. You know, pullbacks are very subjective. You know, pullback from what? You know, pullbacks is very loose term. So let's see. Yeah, let's see, a pullback from X number of ticks. Yeah, let's see. We could do something like that. Let's see. Yeah, once again, that would have to be done through BloodHound. So I'm just kind of thinking of some possibilities here. So I'm going to throw a indicator on the chart here. So we have Chameleon, and kind of one of the basic functions that Chameleon has is, you know, it has what we call a low bounds and a high bounds. And to use that, let's say, yeah, okay, we have a look back of 10. So I think that'll work. All right, we'll just go with that. A look back of 10. Let's just add that. And so you'll notice that with Chameleon, what it's going to do, with that look back set to 10, it's going to track the highest high for the last 10 bars. Right? So let's see. Here's all right, on the current bar here, right? So here's the highest high. And let me force the market down. And let's close this trade out so we're not distracted here. And let me get rid of some other stuff here. All right, so we got the market coming down, and so so this is the highest high of the last 10 bars here. So we could do like a pullback from Chameleon's high bounds, or from the low bounds here as well. All right, from the low bounds. So you know, but you know, pullback is subjective. You know, do you want the pullback from there, or do you want the pullback from this little swing point? You know, so yeah. So we really, you know, so it really all comes down to how you're determining a pullback. You know, but in this, you know, just for this sake here, right, we could use Chameleon here, which is tracking, right, the recent high for the last 10 bars, and you could say, you know, get me into a trade, you know, with a 10 tick pullback, something like that. Sounds good. And let's see. Actually, I'll continue the market down, and I'll create a pullback that way. Let's see. So again, we could use yeah, we could use BloodHound. Actually, no, I don't think we even need to use BloodHound. So let's just kind of test this idea I have in my head here. So right, so I'm going to clear everything out, start from scratch. So I want to pull back. So that's going to be a limit order. Yeah, it's going to be a limit order. And so let's set up the initial placement here. So that's what's critical here, is the initial placement. And instead of using price to set my limit order, we're going to use an indicator. We're going to use that SI chameleon indicator. So let's go down here and find chameleon. There we go. All right, so let's see. Let's set my look back to 10 so that it matches my indicator on the chart here. So there's my look back at 10. Now we have to figure out, okay, which plots do we want to use? All right, so if we're doing a pullback, that's going to be measured from the high, right? From the high bounds. So a long signal is going to be, so I'm just going to say, let's just say we're looking for a 10-tick pullback, right? So if we're in an uptrend, it's going to be a 10-tick pullback from the high bounds here. So that'll be from a long, and the low bounds, right? So the red, right? So the red, so let's say, if we're in a downtrend now, and I'm looking for a 10-tick pullback from a downtrend, then I'm going to use the low bounds to set my limit order, up here for a short trade. All right, so just know which plots from your indicators you're wanting to use. All right, so I'm going to offset an order 10 ticks from the high bounds or from the low bounds. All right, so these plots are going to be used as the offset for the limit order. And so now, so if we want a 10-tick offset, there we go, something like that. So for a long trade, right, a pullback would be negative 10 ticks from the high bounds plot, right? So negative 10 ticks below the green plot there, right, for a pullback, for a long pullback. And then a short trade would be the opposite, be a positive 10 ticks. All right, yeah, there we go. So we have our initial placement, and let's just let me just throw in a quick profit and stop loss, and yeah, let's save this here. All right, so 10-tick pullback from high or low. Good enough name. And we'll click OK. And let's see. And then, right, so let's say we want to go short. All right. So, actually, sorry, let's go into the dynamic planning here, and let's plan a short trade. And let me just check my order settings here. Okay. And let's see. Oh, I already missed it for a pullback. All right, shoot. Okay. So let me get the chart set up here so I can recreate another pullback. All right, so I'm just going to wait for price to move up here so I can use the high bounds from chameleon. to set up a pullback trade here. Okay, looks good. And I'm gonna refresh BlackBird, refresh the chart. Alright, let me check my order settings here. And that looks good. Click OK. Alright, so dynamic planner, plan a long trade. There we go. Yeah. And let's execute it. Oh. And some reason, okay. Well, I don't know why, but the dynamic planner was not executing my trade, so I just used the go long button. Right, I just used the go long button, and you can see my limit order is sitting here, and so and oh yeah, it looks like I got my order in just before the bar closed, just before this bar closed. So basically, this was the Chameleon's price right there. And then as soon as I hit the go long, then that bar closed and we had a new high. But so my limit order was based off of this bar when this bar was building, and then it closed. So so let's kind of get into something a little fancier here. Let's say we want our limit order to update, right? To update, so that way, if we close that, if we click that button, so if we enable our trade, but then a new high is made, so we want a 10 tick off of the new high or 10 tick off of the new low. Let's go in and do that. Let's modify this a little bit. So let me go into the settings, and we're going to go into our entry order here. All right, so we have the initial placement, but what we need to do is set up a trailing action as well, in case new highs are made or new lows are made. That way our limit order will be a 10 tick pullback off of the new high or the new low. So we'll go into the trailing actions to perform that. So we're going to set it to customs. We're going to set up a custom trailing rule. And we'll set up we'll need to add a trailing rule. So here we go. And so there's no delay on this. We want our entry order to start trailing 10 ticks, immediately, as soon as possible. There's no trigger. We don't want to wait for anything to trigger. And so the action, so simply we just need an action here. So we just need to keep moving our entry order to Chameleon's based on Chameleon's highs or lows that Chameleon is tracking. So let's go in here. Basically, we're just going to set Chameleon up exactly the same way as we set our initial placement. Right. So with Chameleon, right, we set our look back to 10. We're using the high bounce for a long trade, the low bounce for a short trade. And let's set the offset. So we want a 10 tick offset like that. So you notice, right, so we're using Chameleon with this negative 10 tick offset. And right, so that is exactly the same way as we have our initial placement. All right, so our initial placement and our action are set up exactly the same way. And repeat, yeah, we do want this to repeat, I guess indefinitely, and we want it to repeat when the bar closes. So we want it to repeat every one bar, like so. All right, so let's save this now to update it. And all right, let's get a little pullback going here. No, actually, let's keep that going. So let's go long. So here we go. So we're long at 32 cents, which is 10 ticks off of the previous bar's close. Now let's get price to move up a little bit. I'll get price to move up a little bit. And all right, so the bar that's building, right, it just made a high at 44 cents. So you'll see our limit order is going to move up there. There you go. So you see our limit order just inched up. Just inched up. And let's say we get a little pullback, but then price just takes off again. So I moved my trend up so we can get price to move up. And so let's see what happens here when price moves up. So as we get new highs made, you'll see our limit order is gonna march up with it. So there we go. So there's our latest high right there, is at 47 cents. So our limit order is 10 ticks below that. So you can see our limit order is just gonna keep marching up for that 10 tick pullback. All right, and so I'll get price to reverse itself. And as soon as this bar closes, right, we have a new high, and so our limit order is gonna step up so that it's 10 ticks off of that new high there. Let's see, that new high is at 57 cents. So our limit order should move up to 47 cents. All right, bar closed. There we go. Our limit order stepped up for that 10 tick pullback. And then I'll just leave the trend down so we do get so that the price does come down and pick up our order there. And there we go. There's our 10 tick pullback to get that order filled. So, all right. And let's see. So the fourth one, definitely that would require some custom design here because it deals with special buttons for closing a trade out. Yeah, for closing a trade out. So, if we can come up with something that's a little more generic, as I mentioned this last workshop, we don't generally program any suggestions that are very customized to some individual's personal needs. If we can find a generic way to implement an idea that's more generic, that serves the majority of trading styles out there, then that's kind of what we're looking for enhancements and feature new ideas. We're looking for new ideas or new features that kind of that serve the general trading community, the general trading style of customers. So if we can take this last idea here for custom, trade closing buttons, make it a little more generic, then that would be something, that I could see as beneficial for for the majority of users out there. All right, let me see if there was any questions on this here. All right, so Jeff is asking about Chameleon. All right, so Jeff, let's see. For BlackBird, I don't really want to get into Chameleon, but I can point you in the right direction here. So if you go to the documentation here, right? So you can click on the question mark there, and then go to documentation, and let's see here. All right, that brought us to BlackBird. So let me go to support, and we'll go to documentation here. And so you see here under other indicators, right, there's Chameleon. So you can click on Chameleon there. And if you scroll down, there's a video. So here you go, this little video kind of teach you about what Chameleon can do, and the couple of parameters and settings that it has within it. So, all right, so we've got a simple idea here. Let me minimize that chart, and let's go to the Ranko chart here, and let me get BlackBird up and running on this one. All right. And let's see, so again, we're dealing with a BloodHound signal, so I'm just going to create something real quick in BloodHound, just so I have something to work with. So give me a moment here. All right, and let's see. Okay, so I've got a simple BloodHound signal here. It's just looking at price inflection. All right, so I've got something to work with in BlackBird. So let's pull this up. So let's set up our BloodHound signal. And actually, let's see. So let's see. Jeff was using a logic template here, so let me create a logic template as well. There we go. All right. Let's save that. Okay. There we go. So we have our entry set up there. Let's see. Oh, shoot. Okay, so I am missing something. Looks like, Jeff, you're using some exit signal. So I don't have all the information I kind of need, I guess. So it looks like Jeff is using some kind of an exit signal in there. Maybe you're doing this, which really is not necessary. Your exit signals really shouldn't be the same as your entry signals. That's just overworking the system. If your exits are the same as your entries, really that's pointless. All you need is just entry signals, and so if you're in a long trade and then you get a short signal, BlackBird's smart enough that it'll just automatically reverse your trade. Okay, you don't need to close out the long trade to initiate a short trade in the opposite direction. So, so that's all that's needed. It's just your entry signals there. So let's just set that up, and let's see. And we're doing a market. Okay, yeah. So let's just do a market order, and it looks like there's no profit or target. Yep, I don't see a profit or target. So So that's really all that there is to it. And so you'll notice that BloodHound's not on our chart for the BloodHound signals yet. So if we just refresh our chart, then we can get NinjaTrader to put the BloodHound signals that BlackBird is using. Right? So this BloodHound is actually coming from BlackBird. See how it says BlackBird right there? Right, so those are the BloodHound signals being used by BlackBird. Okay, and let's stretch this out a little bit. We'll put it on the price inflection template. And all right, and let's generate a downtrend. Okay, there's our short trade. So I'll just let this go down a little bit and then I'll reverse it. All right, there's our long signal. And you can see that BlackBird automatically reversed the trade for you. So BlackBird closed out the short trade and then it initiated a market long trade there. All right. And if I reverse the trend again to generate a short signal, we'll see that BlackBird will close out the long position. There we go, closed out the long position and submitted a market order to go short. All right, so really it's just that simple. Market order. And there's our BloodHound settings, or BloodHound signal settings, I should say. All right. So there you go, Jeff. So, unless you have anything you can add to your BlackBird settings here, I think I've gone as far as I can go with the information you submitted in your email. So, otherwise, the ticket 734, that's a BloodHound question, so we can address that tomorrow in tomorrow's workshop. So, all right. So Jason's got a question about NinjaTrader simulated data feed, right? So this little trend slider, this is NinjaTrader. So it's good for testing ideas because you can control the trend. So anyways, just pull up your control center and just connect to your simulated data feed. That's all it is. I'm just using the simulated data feed there. So all right, so Dean's got a question about how to basically disable BlackBird's auto trading after a gross profit. All right, so you got to keep in mind this is a gross profit, not a net profit, but a gross profit of $500 or a gross loss of $250. Let's see, or a single trade of 35 ticks. Let's see. Let's see, as far as a single trade, there's no settings for disabling BlackBird based on a single trade. All right. I've never actually had that request yet before, but all right. But to turn off BlackBird, after a gross profit of $500 or loss of $250, we can simply go into the money management here. You see the money management here. Right, there's money management there. You can see there's a button there, and or we can go into the order settings, and we could use the money management here as well. All right, so let's see here. And yeah, so there, shoot, bummer. There are no settings for gross profits. I don't think we've had that request yet based on gross profits. So BlackBird, you can disable it based on net profits or net losses, but not gross. So, yeah, so let's see, whose question? Dean. So Dean, if you really need it based off of gross profits, because if you base off of gross profit or loss, you still could disable, that could still disable BlackBird even in a daily. So you could be at a loss for the day, even though you could get a gross profit of $500. Your losses could be a gross loss of $1,000. So that means you'd be net negative $500 for the day. So, yeah, but if you really want to see, gross profit or loss, then I'd just ask that you submit that, and we'll see how many other people would find that valuable there. And let's see. All right, so it looks like Dean could also use net profit as well. So there we go. So there's net profit. Yeah, so let's just put in 500 here. And there you go. So there's a loss of 250 and a profit of 500. All right, that's simply all you need to do. And then the next thing would be, determine, the calculation mode. So is this BlackBird gonna stop trading, based on a net profit from just this instance of BlackBird, or do you want to disable trading using all BlackBirds, using the P&L from all BlackBirds, right? So do you want to use the group P&L for BlackBirds running in group mode? So you got to keep in mind that if you have multiple BlackBirds going and you want to disable those BlackBirds using a group daily profit or loss, then you need to set all those BlackBirds in group mode. So that way, only BlackBirds that have their calculation mode set to group, only those BlackBirds get their profit and loss added together as a group. So any BlackBird that was left for only this instance, that BlackBird does not get added to the group profit and loss. So this question deals with a stop loss. All right, so let me just get an order going here. And let's just do a 10 tick. All right, so inside of the trailing actions, we're going to set up custom trailing here. So we got rule A and B, for example. And let's see, let me find it here. All right, so the trigger on is a profit. All right, so profit of ticks. Go to ticks, 5 ticks. And let's see, rule B is going to be the same. Oh, hold on a moment. 5 ticks. There we go. All right, 5 ticks. Okay, so we both have the same trigger. And now the question is really about the action. Okay, so one action would be last, and then minus 3 ticks for the offset. And then, so the rule B would be, right, move to the entry price. Move to entry, let's see, move to entry 2. So I'm assuming that would be, oops, entry with a positive 2 ticks. I'm guessing. I think that's what Olga means. So the question is there a difference between these two actions? So between rule A and rule B, is there a difference between the actions? And absolutely, you bet. So we're using totally 2 different prices here. So the entry price, I think that should be self-evident, right? The entry price is, whatever price your entry order gets filled at, right? Now the last price is the market price. If you look up the definition of last price from the exchanges, you'll see the last price is, well, it's the last price that shows up on your chart. So, right, so right now, 50.07, that's the last, or 50.08, 50.09, that's the last price, right? That's the last price to ever trade on this instrument. So that's what last price is. Right, you could also, again, we don't like to reinvent the wheel. So we always use NinjaTrader's terminology. We don't like having to use different terminology. I know a lot of trading coaches like to invent their own terminology, but we don't believe in doing that. I think it just adds too much confusion, too much to learn. So we always follow NinjaTrader's terminology when possible, if they already have it set up. So, all right, so the last price, that is basically, that's the market price. Last is wherever the market last traded. So that's the most, last means the most current price available from the exchange. Right, whereas entry price, well, that's where your order got executed. That's the price at which your entry order got executed at, right? That's your entry price. So yeah, so there's big differences between those. So, and it doesn't matter what your offset is. Offset from those 2 different prices, it will not get them in the same ballpark. All right, Olga, so I hope that answered your question. All right, next one's from Frank. So Frank's going to be entering with 4 contracts. All right, so if you set the maximum number of losers in a row to 4, okay, so if we're using, let me pull this up here before. So we're in the money management. If we set max number of losing trades, so let's say we're trading 4 contracts, right? So let's set our order up here. So we got right, 4 contracts, or let's make this even a little more elaborate. Let's say we're doing 2 and 2, right? So 4 contracts total, right? But we got 2 separate OCO sets. And then in money management, if we set maximum number of losing trades to 4, question is, will BlackBird disable? Let's see, let me just read this real quick. Yeah, would that count as, okay, yes, the question is, would that count as 1 loser or 4 losers? That would count as 1 loser. So this says losing trades, not losing contracts. So you're comparing contracts to trades, right? So basically, these two order sets is considered one trade. All right, so it doesn't matter how many order sets you got going here. However many order sets you want, that's considered one trade. Right? It's kind of think of this as like with an ATM. If you're using an ATM, if you're trading using Ninja's ATM, you could set up your ATM so that it has 3 different profit targets and 3 different stop loss. 3 different profit targets and 3 different stop losses. But that all counts as one trade. Within NinjaTrader, that's all counts within one trade. You just have, different OCO sets set up. So, okay, so that takes care of Frank's question. Well, guys, all right, if I don't see you tomorrow, have a great weekend, and I hope to see you next week. Okay, bye-bye, guys.